Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth, and fancy seeing you here in June. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down next to me on my lap. I don't mind, but no touching. I don't do the touching. And welcome to the minas podcast. We haven't done one of these for a while, so we just need to chill out, have a cigar, eat some popcorn, lay on our beds, and just listen to me rabbit on about the entertainment industry, about Love Island, about Manchester United Football Club. So there's a lot of things to talk about. But first of all, I want to talk about what Hollywood are doing right now. Hollywood are going after the Netflix model, and it's going to destroy them. We see Disney doing it with Disney Plus. I'm not particularly that excited by the projects they've announced. And Warner Media are doing it as well. So basically, their acting CEO was talking, Toby Emmerich, who's been talking about their future plans. Now, I was just watching a video that Ping Pong Flicks does. I could never do that properly. Chris Wong Svensson, and he was reading an article. I agreed with some of the things Chris was saying. I didn't agree with kind of his criticism of Warner Brothers for the failure of Godzilla, King of the Monsters, because I have an opinion, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So anyway, right, basically, since the sacking of Kevin Sujihara, they don't have a CEO. They said they are looking far and wide for one, and they want to make it a broad search. I think with AT&T taking over Warner Brothers, I think they have the history of doing cable TV, and they're here to make big money. So in their eyes, right, they think that movies in theatres don't make enough money anymore. So I think kind of what they're going to do is they're going to make films on budget. This is why the New Line Cinema guys and girls are making most of their films now, especially with the DCEU. So I think what will happen is their theatrical movies will be made on a low budget to make as much profit as possible. It's happened with Shazam, it's happened with the Joker movie, and it's going to carry on. They're going to keep on making films on budget. So why are they doing this? They're going to make films they're going to spend little money on their movies, whether it's their big franchises or individual films, while they throw all their bucks at their streaming service. That's right, because they see Netflix making so much money from their streaming service. So they think, we've got to try and do this. Everyone's trying to go after this model. I just don't believe it's a model that anyone else can be successful with. In fact, I believe Netflix will implode in the end. I keep on going on there, and I do say this all the time. There's very little content on there that I could say, oh, I must watch this or I must watch that. There's a few things I watch on there. There's actually not great many. Now, I don't think I'm the norm. We know the kids and the teens and the 20 and 30-somethings are loving Netflix, and it's working, and that's great. But how long is this going to work for? I think it's very, very stupid to go after something that quite possibly is going to implode. Netflix are there. They've already done it. They're going to keep on doing what they're doing. And who knows what could happen in the future. There could be problems with the internet. Anything's possible. So it's very foolhardy for, companies that are making theatrical movies, that already make TV, to say, right, streaming's the future. But is it the future? And how much of the future is streaming? Disney and Warner Media are throwing billions and trillions at this. But will it work? Would it be good enough? And can they take what Netflix has got? Because these big companies don't just want a piece of the pie. They want all the pie. Now, it's interesting him talking about Warner Media and what's going on with the streaming service and all that, because he did say himself that Disney are going to dominate the streaming kind of business for years to come. I don't believe that. I believe that Disney initially, with the new streaming service, will break records, will break Netflix's records. But what you'll see very quickly, and you won't hear about it in the media, is people will get bored. After 6 months to a year, people will walk away from Disney Plus. They will. Now, they can handle that because, they're a very big company. Of course they can. But I just think, I'm not saying don't have a streaming service, but they're really going for it. They want to destroy, basically, these companies want to destroy Netflix and dominate the streaming kind of world. I don't think it's that easy. I don't think streaming is just about money. It's, he talked about, we've got to give the consumer what they want. Well, that's the problem with studios and networks right now, and even streaming services. They're not. They're not mostly giving us what we want. They're giving us what they think we want. And most of it's about political commentary and, agendas, especially since Trump got into power and since Brexit. It's gone mad with this political commentary. So I don't think I'm seeing films that are that good that I want to see. Are young people seeing the films that they want to see? And I think I do worry for these studios. I think they could go out of business chasing this streaming dream. Netflix are there. Netflix created it. So they know what they're doing. They're comfortable around that arena. They buy, and obviously Netflix are going to change as well, because with Warner Brothers, Warner Media, and Disney having their streaming services, this means that less and less content that these companies make will be on that platform. In fact, none of that content will be on their platform anymore. So this weakens Netflix. I'm not sure if Netflix can survive with their own stuff. I'm not sure. But with Warner Brothers and Disney, obviously they own properties. They own Warner Brothers own the DC property, the Harry Potter property, horror movie properties, and I could go on. So in fact, if you think about having them doing DC TV shows, having Marvel TV shows on Disney Plus, it's printed money. It is. And I know Netflix are very creative, and they've done the Umbrella Academy, and I think they've just bought Ubisoft or whatever it's called as well. So they're very ambitious. So I do believe it's going to be really hard for Disney and Warner Media to destroy the pattern that Netflix have got. But I do think they will hurt Netflix a little bit by removing their content from that streaming platform and putting it on their own. And this is how I see it. Ultimately, I think the whole thing is going to implode, and everyone's going to have to go back to what they were doing, making films for cinema and making television for, guess what? Television. And I think, YouTube are doing, and it's interesting. How are YouTube doing with their premium service, I wonder? That would be very interesting. I don't have the figures, unfortunately, but I do think all this in the end will implode, and we'll be going back to doing things the old-fashioned way. But it does interest me what was said, where AT&T are really looking to really invest in their streaming platform. And to be honest with you, for me, it's difficult because I live away from America. I live in Cyprus. Basically, all these streaming services are American companies. They don't release them globally. They're in their own country for years. We don't get to see what they're doing unless they sell them to Netflix, which obviously with the DC streaming service, they've been doing, and that's how I've been seeing them. So again, only time will tell, but I just think going after Netflix in something you're not used to doing is very troublesome. And I don't think Disney, I think initially the press will show off about the high rates of subscriptions, but I think within 6 months to a year, people will realise that maybe this is a waste of their money. It depends on the content. You see, because it's very interesting, isn't it? When you're putting out content to people who are paying a subscription, you can't just overload people with political agendas and commentaries. You've got, as the guy at Warner Media said, you've got to give people what they want. And if you don't, they're going to walk away. It will be very, very interesting, how the Netflix subscriptions are going right now. Are they doing well? Are they imploding? Netflix owe a lot of money, but of course they're reinvesting what they're making constantly. Of course, they're making a healthy profit. So that will be very interesting. And also, what's going to happen eventually, and these business people should be thinking about this, but they don't. If there's going to be 5, 6, 7 streaming platforms, people will have to unsubscribe by their least favourite ones, right? So let me say, right, let's just pretend, let's imagine Warner Media is a great success. They bring in the DC Universe into that streaming service as well. They do great TV shows, DC TV shows. As I told you on the DCEU Daily this morning, they're doing a June TV show. I think it's a female-led thing, so that should be interesting as well. So let's just imagine, right, they launch it internationally. I love Warner Media. But I do subscribe to Amazon Prime and Netflix. So I would think the first one, you'd have to think financially, I have to unsubscribe from something. And this is what's going to hurt. There can only be one winner. But ultimately, it could be worse than that. There could be no winner. So, right, I've got Warner Media. I'm loving it. They've given me everything I want. I don't care about Star Wars anymore because Disney have fucked it up. Or maybe they'll make it better. I don't know. But anyway, I'm focusing on Warner Media. I'm going to keep it. I'm a DC fan. I'm a Harry Potter fan. And there's a lot of stuff that they own that I love. So I'm keeping Warner Media. Well, I kind of like Amazon Prime. I like the fact that I can buy content off there individually. And because I can't watch the BBC over here, but I can buy their series while it's being aired. So that's really good. And I can watch it weekly after it's aired on the BBC. So I'm not going to get rid of Prime, right? But I think I'm sure you can buy stuff on the Amazon video section without being on Prime anyway. I'm not sure. But anyway, I'd have to check that one out. But even Amazon they're doing a brand new streaming service as well. They're doing Lord of the Rings as well. That's massive. And this is what's interesting as well. The Lord of the Rings announcement is the biggest announcement I've heard on any of these potential streaming services, right? I've heard what Disney Plus are doing. Not particularly excited. I've heard what Warner Media are doing. They've only announced one project, so I'll give them a chance. I've heard what Netflix are doing. I'm not particularly excited about what they're doing either. But Amazon Prime are actually doing a bona fide Lord of the Rings, TV franchise on their streaming service. So who do you think is going to print more money? It's Amazon. In fact, Amazon are actually getting ahead of the game now. So this is interesting as well. So I'm more excited about Prime. I'm more liable to keep Prime Video rather than Netflix. So I love Warner Media. Let's pretend the Warner Media streaming service, even though we haven't got it yet, but I love it. It's great. So I'm going to keep that. So I get rid of Netflix. And say everyone starts getting rid of Netflix and then unsubscribes from Disney, and then slowly, the whole system implodes. Then you've got Warner Media, and then you've got Amazon. Because everyone thinks Disney Plus is going to be the big success and dominate. I don't see that. With what they're announcing, I just can't see how. I just can't see how. And the other problem, as I've already said, with so many streaming services, you can't have them all. You can't keep them all unless you're earning a lot of money, unless you've got a lot of money, right? I can afford to keep them all, but I don't want to. I don't want to keep anything that I'm wasting my money on. So ultimately, I will just keep the things that I'm actually watching and getting use from. So it's going to be very, very, very interesting because, of course, all the Fox stuff that Netflix have got, Disney own Fox now, that will go on the Disney Plus streaming platform as well. So basically, what my prediction is about all of this, they're all going to cut each other's throats. The industry will implode and they'll have to go back to basics. And this is the problem now. Because ultimately, I think this is probably one of the worst eras of the entertainment industry. I don't think we're in the best era. Now, let's change the subject from streaming and let's talk about Warner Brothers. They keep on telling us, the media, right, especially the Disney Shields, how badly Warner Brothers are doing this year. So let's go back to what I was saying about Ping Pong Flicks and Chris Wong Svensson saying that the financial failure of Godzilla King of the Monsters is Warner Brothers' fault. They don't have a CEO, blah, 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 but he's blaming them for bad marketing. Chris didn't really pinpoint what they could have done better. At the end of the day, they marketed the film, they had trailers. I mean, what else did you want from them? Chris, let me tell you the truth. People are not interested in monster movies. Yes, there are people interested in monster movies, but not enough. There are not enough people interested in monster movies. And even when Godzilla and King Kong comes out, that will make a bit more, but it still won't make enough. That's why this film's failing. Pikachu didn't make that much money because not enough people are interested. It's not about marketing. You can't con people into watching something. They only watch what they trust. That's why the MCU is doing well, because it's a reliable source of entertainment and people know what they're going to get. And this is why Godzilla King of the Monsters failed. Not because it's particularly a bad film, because it's an excellent, awesome monster movie. The point is, not enough people are interested in monster movies. Not enough people are interested in Pokemon movies. Yes, Pokemon gaming and all that is very popular. But movies is a different platform, and this is why these films are not making money. So of course Chris and people like him are trying to say there's a big problem at Warner Brothers. I don't know if there's a big problem at Warner Brothers. Obviously, they're not having the greatest of years. We'll have to see how Joker movie does and some of their other projects. So in the second half of the year, they may do better. But obviously, they're lagging behind Disney this year, and that's no surprise either. But we'll have to wait and see what happens later this year. And of course, who their new CEO is. They're looking to bring J.J. Abrams. This is a massive thing, because if J.J. Abrams is producing content for the streaming service, for DC, for Harry Potter, that could be very interesting and very, very exciting. So we are in interesting, uncertain times, and we'll just have to see what the future holds. So the rumour is that James Gunn is actually going to be Warner Brothers' go-to guy to reconstruct the new DC universe of movies. Now, this is a rumour that we got discovered, did in an article, and I'm not going to read the article because I don't really believe much what they say. So they're talking about James Gunn rebooting the DCEU. Listen, we've had this chat since Justice League. There is no rebooting. They are going to listen. This is how they're going to play it. Basically, you've got Birds of Prey, which is a DCEU film, and you've got Wonder Woman 1984, which is a DCEU film. Now, what I believe is either Wonder Woman 1984 will reconstruct and course correct what they'll be doing in the future, or basically Wonder Woman 1984 will be the final official film within the DCEU. I'm not saying Gal Gadot and Patty Jenkins won't make more films, but they'll just be kind of individual, one-off movies rather than part of a franchise. Because what they're trying to do is close off that franchise cleverly so they can do their own thing. Now, meantime, we've got this Black Label, which is very interesting, because obviously we've got the Joker movie, but they haven't announced anything else. Is the Batman part of that Black Label, or is it still part of the DCEU? From what I'm hearing, there's not a chance in hell of actually the Batman movie being part of the DCEU. Apparently, Robert Pattinson's Batman isn't a young Batfleck. If he is, then the DCEU will go on. But I don't think that's the plan. I don't think that's the future. The future is doing one-off, standalone movies. Now, so what will James Gunn be doing? That's great, isn't it? Now I've got a bloody lawnmower right in my ear. Right, let's shut that. Sorry about that. Very, very unprofessional. We can still hear it, but at least it's a bit more quiet. Anyway, yeah, very unprofessional. They're doing outside. It's better, rather than me. I don't mind that. I hate doing outside stuff anyway. So what's James Gunn going to be doing? Well, James Gunn basically looks like he's going to be restructuring the universe. What he could be doing is creating a brand new franchise that kicks off from his Suicide Squad. So that's interesting as well. Will he be doing the Suicide Squad element of the franchise, or has Walter Hamada and Peter Safran brought him on to be like the consultant to recreate and redo this franchise? Nobody really knows, but there's no blatant reboots. They're looking to do this very carefully and very precisely so they can kind of finish off the DCEU and then do either a brand new franchise and just say, right, that was Wonder Woman 1984, we're doing this now. So there's no kind of leaving anything or anything like that. Nobody really knows their plans. We know that Warner Brothers were talking last week that they're looking to bring a slate to San Diego Comic-Con 2020. So clearly they're not ready. Look, there's a lot of plans going on. They're still waiting for a new CEO. So again, I'm very intrigued and excited to see what this slate will be and what the future for the DCEU actually is. And I think they're not going to tell us very much. I think until they're ready and they know what they're doing. So again, there's a lot of things they have to correct. I certainly think things like Arrowverse have to just be. It's been an absolute disaster since season 3 of Arrow, and I think that's been embarrassing. And I think when you've got certain situations going on within Warner Brothers, there's a lot of things they have to correct. So again, I think that James Gunn is a great guy. He's a very talented guy, and I can absolutely see him turning Some people don't think anything needs turning around. I love the DCEU. I love what Zack Snyder did and what Zack Snyder had planned. But unfortunately, they didn't keep the faith with him. So now we're in this situation where we don't really know what the future is. But do we need to know a future as a consumer? Isn't it enough we know that we've got Birds of Prey, Joker movie, and Wonder Woman 1984 coming. The Batman's in development. Jeff Johns is writing his Green Lanterns movie. So I don't think really we need to know any further than that. I think fans are impatient, and when we look over at Disney and the MCU, but look at them, they've got a slate, look at them. Well, to be honest with you, they don't really have much of a slate either at the moment. They're not going to be in Hall H either this year. So I think for once we're in the same boat as the MCU as well. So very uncertain times, as I say, very exciting times. So now we are going to change the subject on the podcast to Manchester United, the team that I absolutely adore and love. So it's a soccer team, America. If you're watching from America, Man United is a soccer footballing team. So you're going to get bored, so you might have to go. And probably no Man United fans are going to be watching this. So I'm bored of actually going on the internet every day and people, so-called experts, right? God, it's boiling in here now. I've shut this, but never mind. Should we put the aircon on? I think we deserve the aircon. Let's do things in style, right? So anyway, right, so Manchester United are a club, I wouldn't say in disarray. I think that's over the top. We need to build a new team and a new club structure. We still don't know anything about a director of football. We bought one player, a Welsh player, a very good young Welsh player. I'm excited to see him in action. I've seen a few clips, but I've never watched him live or anything. So listen, I don't know much about Daniel James. That's a fact. And I'm not going to pretend I'm a footballing expert because I'm not. I love Manchester United, and that's it. We are looking to buy another 4 or 5 players. That's clear. And it's going to be very interesting. I mean, they're talking about Wan-Bissaka from Crystal Palace, even though a couple of months ago he committed his future to the club. So I'm a bit dubious about if this will happen. If it does happen after he announced that doesn't really look good on him, does it? But obviously Man United's a big club. There's a project going on. I'm excited by the project at Man United, and we've got to give Ollie the chance. Now, someone made an interesting comment yesterday that if Ollie wasn't an ex-Man United player, he wouldn't have this job. He wouldn't have this job. It doesn't mean he's not capable of doing it. I have my doubts about him. I've told you about him before. And I think that basically we can't judge Ollie or the club until we know who the director of football is and who they're bringing in. I'm excited about next season, but I'm also a bit tentative about next season because I don't know what we're doing. So finally, we're going to talk about Love Island. Any Love Island fans out there? Anyone who watches it? Anyway, right, I hope a couple of you are strayed on because my Love Island videos don't get enough views, but never mind. That's life. I'm not a big channel. I'm not monetized, so it really doesn't matter. But I'm really vain. I'm on YouTube because I want as many people as possible to hear my voice and see my beautiful face. I'm a vain bastard. So Love Island, I would say this is the least exciting series so far of Love Island. I thought last year we had better characters. But I was thinking about this. People like Georgia really didn't come out of their shell, right, until like the last 3 or 4 weeks, if you remember rightly. It never kicked off with her to the last quarter of the show. So there's still a lot of chance of things to kick off. But right now, it's like Amy and Curtis, right? They're going to go in that little room. Everyone's going to vote for them to go in the Love Shack or whatever they fucking well call it, right? So I'm not really looking forward to tonight because she's so fucking smug. And I think most of you lot watching Love Island actually think that Curtis and Amy should win Love Island. And I'm sorry, they're bullshit. They're not a real couple. They're not in love. They're just 2 people who have got together to win this show. And you look at what happened with Jack and Danny. Within months they broke up. And it's not a great breakup either. You've got their fans against each other, slaughtering Danny and Jack online. It isn't great. So it's all bullshit at the end of the day. Love Island for me isn't about the romance. It looks like that. It's called Love Island, but it's about the individual characters and the laughs and the drama we get from it. I spoke a bit about Molly May and what she's doing and how she's after Danny. A lot of people are not happy about Molly May. At the end of the day, she's a character, she's a personality. And at the end of the day, if we don't see these people doing these things, what's the point? I'm not watching Love Island to watch people lay in a pool, making out all day. And in truth, none of us are really watching it for that. Reality TV should be about explosive drama, That's why I miss Big Brother. Do you remember Big Brother 5? Big Brother 5, was it? When Victor and Jason, the Wildcats, literally brought the show to its knees and they had to take it off the air for a few hours. When Emma and Natlock came out the cave, because they thought Emma and Natlock had been evicted. So, I miss Big Brother. If it was me, right, I'd absolutely bring, if I had the money, I'd buy the rights to Big Brother and I would bring the most controversial, out there, real life people onto the show every summer. That show, if I owned it, there would be 24-hour live feed again. We'd be watching a great show, explosive arguments. That's what great reality TV is about. So as much as I love Love Island, I don't think it has the drama that you can get from Big Brother. And that's why I miss Big Brother. And I'm surprised nobody else has purchased it. But then they don't have the vision and the finance to bring controversy, to have that 24-hour feed, because nobody else does that in reality TV. Because most of reality TV is kind of fixed and scripted now. So are you enjoying Love Island? What do you think about the future of streaming? What do you think about Manchester United? What do you think about the entertainment industry in general? Please comment down below. Please subscribe if you're new to the channel. Like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about me. This is a channel that doesn't bother editing. Uses the basic microphone and camera from my Lenovo laptop, because for me, it's not about paying for the best cameras. It's about what comes out of my mouth. And I hope you agree as well. Until the next video, I shall see you later. And I'll be back in my boxes tonight for my Love Island reaction. And I can't wait.